My name's Richard Tromans. I am the founder of Artificial Lawyer, the legal tech and AI website. I'm also the chair of the Legal Innovators conference series. And with us is one of our key sponsors, Manu. Manu, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you.
So let's get into this. So Manu, before we start talking about AI, tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us a bit about the company.
So first of all, I mean, thanks a lot for inviting me to have this talk with you, Richard. It's really exciting for me, really motivating. And okay, I'm Manu Mateo. Currently, I'm working at Lefebvre's group. I'm the current CPO of our AI product. You know that for those who do not know, Lefebvre, it's really the European leader in the legal and tax services. We were founded over more than 200 years ago. We are based in different countries. We are in France, is our headquarters. Also, we are in Spain, in Italy, in the Netherlands, in Germany, Belgium and Luxembourg, United Kingdom, and I don't know if I already said Italy. And just some figures about just a couple of them about the company, about what we do. As I said, I mean, we were founded 200 years ago. Our main activity is publishing legal publishings for tax, lawyers, corporates. But also one of our main activities is skill improvement, training, and software. And I think that having those three main activities and having the number of customers that we have currently, more than 275,000 clients, that's provide us a huge knowledge about really the needs of our customers. And I think that as we will keep discussing in the coming minutes, I think that really having that knowledge, it's going to be key to keep progressing with all the AI features, AI products that we are developing.
So everyone obviously to some degree is familiar with AI tools. I'm sure at least they've played around with ChatGPT. They've probably used some of the broader, legal research tools such as your own as well. But let's just talk about generally bringing it into a law firm in a more meaningful way. I mean, just first principles, Manu. I mean, what are some of the key things that we need to think about when we're trying to bring in AI tools?
So yeah, my main let's say advice or my main recommendation, especially when a law firm or a tax firm, advisor firms really wants to start putting in place and integrating AI tools into the daily work into their firm. I think that first of all, they need to analyze a bit which are the use cases they need to solve. I mean, every firm, it's completely different. Everything has even different, let's say, pain points in the daily work, a different kind of relationship with the clients and so on. So for me, first advice is, hey, let's spend some time analyzing which are really your pain points. Let's identify which of those pain points, which of your daily tasks you would like to really improve. And then we can start thinking about AI tools, because there are so many options currently in the market. There are some of them that are really great for some specific tasks, but there are some others that are even better for another kind of task. And depending on that, okay, let's start analyzing which are really the most important, not only features, but also in general, which are the most important solutions that can fit those use cases. And also, when analyzing those use cases, when I have meetings with clients, with lawyers, with advisors, also for me, what's really important is to, let's say, to analyze the risk of those activities that they want to start let's say, not replacing, but they want to start using AI for, because especially for those firms that are still not really mature with AI. First of all, okay, let's identify which are the low or the medium risk use cases, so we can really start working on that. And there are a lot of things that we can even do with, let's say, low risk, and and even in parallel, if there are even more lawyers or professionals who are more mature inside even the law firm, okay, we can start escalating, or we can start analyzing different use cases. But for me, as a summary, the main topic is that, hey, every firm it's completely different. Every firm has different needs, different use cases. Let's spend some time analyzing really those use cases.
All right, okay, that's good starting point. So what counts as low risk? I mean, presumably, just like it's funny about it
Yeah,
because even things that appear to be low risk, like basic legal
yeah,
research, of course, then as everyone knows who's been reading the newspapers, becomes potentially a high risk issue because if you
yeah.
can't prove the citation or you just accept the citation without checking it, maybe you've got an issue there, and so forth. So let's just go back to that point. So what actually does count as a low risk AI use case?
Okay, so for me, for example, okay, something that it's especially if we talk about firms and legal professionals. Okay, maybe having some summaries of document, or extracting information from different contracts, or for different documents, making summaries of different meetings, or having just maybe a first template for a draft. So for me, those could be the low risk use cases.
Mm.
Also, when talking about the risk, I think that it's quite important to, especially when talking about legal professionals. It's about the contents that you are going to use to have that the use of the AI, let's say. Because if you are just gonna extract information from a document, or making a summary of a contract, okay, it's you don't really need to have any kind of legal documentation behind. It's just, okay, straight extracting information from a document. So that's quite low risk. I mean, for sure, every time you need to at least to validate, or to confirm what AI is providing. But the risk goes really low, as you don't really need to have any kind of legal knowledge behind to provide a summary of a document, for example.
Yeah, no, totally. But of course, I mean, obviously, we're talking primarily about legal professionals who are
Yeah,
using it on a personal basis. So, but I mean, I'll just add on that point. I mean, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
if you're a lawyer and you're working on a contract that you know that you've already written, or you're working in a work stream that you're very familiar with, and you receive the
yeah,
contract and you want to summarize it, then you're pretty much on safe ground. When it comes to legal research, it's an interesting one because we've all been trained to use legal research tools, and they've tended towards a very sort of deterministic, if your audience knows the phrase, way of searching. You know, you put in a keyword, article,
hmm
court cases with the keyword come back.
yeah,
With large language models, it's different. It's effectively predicting what it is that it thinks you want to see. And if it can't find what you want, it has a tendency, not always, but occasionally, to manufacture those results for you. Hence, we then move on to RAG, retrieval augmented
yeah,
generation, where it adds the citation to it shows where the citation comes from, to put it simply. I mean, if for you, when you're offering AI tools for your legal research, I mean, do
yeah.
you provide RAG support for that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is a very good topic to talk about the Q&A, because also yeah, for me, I could like just to mention too, two different, let's say, topics related to Q&A. The first one is the one that you already mentioned, the RAG having contents behind the AI, let's say, and that's exactly what we do at LFF. So whenever there is a Q&A, whenever there is a query from the user, we are not going to take any type of content from, let's say, from the internet or any kind of content that is not produced by LFF. So with that, what are we providing to the user? A very, let's say, verified and trusted source, and that's for legal professionals. That's essential. I mean, I cannot imagine a professional just thinking about working with contents that he doesn't really know where they come.
And yet it happens all the time.
But the problem is that some of them they still do, and then you have those news in the there has been customers or they having lawyers citing different regulation or different case law that doesn't really exist. So for me, that's really important, being able, and not only to be sure that the contents are curated or has been prepared by a publisher, let's say, or by professionals. Also, what's important is to have the opportunity to check those references, because even sometimes, we need to assume that AI is not 100% accurate. I mean, it's AI, it's technology. If you use RAG, I mean, if you use your curated contents, precision is going to be really, really huge, really higher. But anyway, what I always say to customers, hey, don't just copy directly the answer coming from Genial, from a legal product, AI product, from a publisher. Just spend some time validating the answer. First of all, just to make sure that the answer is right. And second, because there could be a lot of additional information in those original sources that could provide also you additional insights and additional value. So for me, that's one of the key points when talking about Q&A. And the other one that we still need to change the mind of some of our customers is that I have realized that when they are making just Q&A and so on, they still keep asking in the same way as they were used to do in a traditional database, let's say, just with keywords.
Just a couple of keywords. And that's the thing with prompting. I mean,
exactly.
We'll come on to training in a moment, but let's just wrap up this point. I mean, the key thing for me, I've talked to many people about this over the years, or since ChatGPT arrived, is basically if you're the kind of lawyer who has never bothered to check your sources, then you're the kind of person who, when you're working with AI, will also end up using fake citations. And then it goes to your point as well about what I call like the data fortresses, Thomson Reuters, Lexis, Wolters Kluwer, your company, many others. If you've got properly curated data with RAG citations, then it's extremely unlikely that you're going to make these mistakes. But even if you do, you should still go back. But one of the things that I think is most worrying is not understanding what the general models can do. So let's say you're even using Claude for legal. You might even be using the specific enterprise plugins, right? Even they are not designed as a legal reference source. So if you're using Claude for legal, let's say to do a redlining of an NDA, it'll be great. I'm sure. But if you then say to it, oh, by the way, I'm just thinking about, Smith versus Jones, 1982. Could you just drag up X, Y, and Z? It doesn't have access to that data, not in the same way that you do. And that's when it all goes pear-shaped.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's one of the main risk when working with AI, and that's also where I was referring when identifying the low risk or the medium risk AI use cases, because I mean, some of them we can use Claude or directly ChatGPT or whatever. But some other, I mean, if you really need to prepare a contract or a demand in which you are going to include different citations to case law or to regulations, I mean, everyday regulations is being updated, is being changed. I mean, to need really to make sure that the ones that are in the answer, that the references are really updated and can really, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end, you are a professional. You have to behave as a professional, so not
Well,
just copy.
exactly. Now which brings us to the next point, which is this very interesting, development, which is what, sort of people, in the US, a lot of thinkers about AI are basically calling the tension between what they call the intelligence layer and the judgment layer. And what they mean by the intelligence layer is tasks that require some intelligence. You
Yeah,
can't just get, the milkman to do it. They do have to have some legal knowledge, but they're very, very repeatable. They're programmable. You can model them, you can map them, you can repeat them. So the key point there is that you've got this amazing ability with AI to just churn out legal work. So for junior lawyers, you give them the AI tools and you're thinking, well, it'll take them all day to do this. And they get back to you in 10 minutes, like, hey, I finished. And the partners or the senior associates are then
yeah,
receiving this work product. And then they're having to apply their judgment, their basic human experience, because they've been doing this 20 years. And they're like, and so what happens is that the productivity pyramid gets inverted, because traditionally what we have seen is that the bottom layer, the leverage layer, the associate layer, does all the donkey work, the process work, and then it slowly filters up into a very,
yeah,
very narrow channel, and the partners sit at the top and handle it. That is
yeah,
completely flipped now, because a very, very small number of associates can produce an absolute fountain of work. And the partners at the top are like, one, this is too much, too soon.
yeah,
Two, this is going to kill the billable hour, which many law firms will be functioning.
yeah.
And then three, hold on a minute, you did that in 10 minutes. How do I know you've done it correctly? I do not want to then have to spend the rest of my afternoon checking that you've done it correctly.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
if so, what's the point in employing you? So, I mean,
Yeah.
AI creates a whole bunch of problems. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that even you mentioned also a very, very, very interesting point. It's about junior lawyers in the films and so on, because that's also part of the let's say maybe NDA of the films, or of the way they manage the films, because especially when talking about big films, I have found that okay, there are some big firms, big corporates as well, that they don't allow juniors to have access to AI.
Really?
So
Which is crazy, because it's the juniors who should be using it more than anybody else. So.
absolutely, absolutely. But okay, but no, okay, our juniors, okay, they need to learn in the traditional way. They need to, okay, that's fine. But then on the other side, I'm finding, yeah, most of them, they really allowed junior
Mm.
lawyers to work on that. And
Yeah.
what you find, it was funny. Just a few weeks ago, I was talking with an Italian law firm, and
Mm.
what they told me is that okay, AI what provided us is a different way of working. I mean, and there was a manager that he explained me is okay. Before AI, my juniors spent a lot of time on databases, trying to find a lot of case law and so on, and then I just spent few time also analyzing all the research that the junior has done. And now it's a workaround. Let's say now I'm the one, the manager, who am starting the research process with AI, but then I give the answer to my junior so they can really validate it. They can really make sure that all the citation exists. So it's a
Yeah.
different way. So and it
I
was
like that. Yeah. So the senior lawyer basically does the work and
exactly.
gets the associates to check it, which is, as you
Exactly.
say, it's a complete inversion.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was okay, and I
Yeah.
realized that yeah, okay, yeah, I think that's why also, it's also important to the films, to the professionals, to start
Mm.
adapting as soon as possible AI, because I mean, it's not just having a new tool in the film. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that AI, it's even more than that. It's changing completely all the way that the films are organized, new roles that are being demanded by the films. So
Mm.
yeah, it's changed everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we're really only just touching the surface, aren't we? Summarize. People, when we first discovered generative AI, end of 22, 23,
Yeah,
24, people were using, as you say, for summarization, doing some basic redlinings, doing some initial research. But that really is like junior school, like baby school. That's kindergarten level use of AI. Now, for many people, I don't know how many people listening to this, perhaps you're way advanced, which is fantastic. Others may not be, but there is just so much more. If you think of any law firm or any in-house legal team, and you break all their work into lots and
yeah,
lots of different work streams, and you can package them into like different practice groups and then subgroups and subgroups down into individual tasks, probably about 30 to 40% of that work can quite immediately go
yeah,
over to AI and or agentic workflows. And for those of you, again, I'm sure most of you know, but we haven't met. So if you don't know, an agent is effectively a program that is more than a prompt. So rather than just putting in a prompt, so summarize this document, effectively it's a standing program. So let's say, for example, every morning you wake up, you look at your emails, the agent joins you, goes through your emails, triages them, pulls out the 3 or 4 most important ones, and then writes a response for you to approve for those key emails, for example. Or every week it reads through, let's say if you're an in-house lawyer, it reads through all the NDAs that have come into you that week and looks at how your team of lawyers may have modified language in those contracts, and then highlights where you may need to change your own playbooks.
mm,
So effectively, it's becoming almost like a sort of permanent member of staff. And that's really where we got to get to. And then once you start thinking like that, it starts to change the economics, the staffing. And when I say staffing, I don't think it's going to be reducing the total number of lawyers, but what they
no,
do will change. And let's talk about that. One of the great hopes of AI, not just for law, but for everywhere, is that it raises the game,
yeah,
right? If you're a lawyer, you no longer have to spend quite so much time doing boring, monotonous work, even as a junior lawyer. Do you think that's true?
yeah.
And how does that work?
No, I mean, totally agree with
Mm.
you. I think that from my point of view, I think that AI is not gonna really start reducing lawyers and start reducing juniors and replacing them. For me, what's really provide the AI is to avoid doing those non-profitable tasks, let's say those tasks that are not really providing any value to the customer. So you can really spend more value on or more time on really tasks that provide a huge value to the customer. And even not only from a let's say material point of view, even from a personal relationship with the customers. Sometimes and this happens especially also in the low end part of the market, in the medium law firms, that sometimes they don't really have a lot of time to even to have a lunch with the customers, just to have a more closer relationship. And thanks to AI, I mean, now they have that time to have a closer relationship to the customer. So it's not just replacing boring tasks; it's just even promoting some personal kind of relationship, because at the end, as a client, let's say, or as a citizen, wow, you really appreciate whenever your lawyer contacts directly to you and have some minutes to talk, and you don't just need, oh, just send me your question by email. Now I'm in a meeting, I cannot attend you. Oh no. So those are the kind of things that being more kind of human relationship, let's say,
Mm.
that's really positive, and I think that's something that the clients really appreciate a lot. And also what I think, and what we were discussing, it's okay. I can save time doing this kind of tasks, but instead of replacing some juniors, whatever, oh, I can start doing some other topics, some other tasks that before that I was not able to do, or I can instead analyzing a case from just one perspective. Oh, I can
Mm.
start doing, from different perspective and not just analyzing from the tax point of view. I can also take into account other legal aspects. So it's even been more, more professional, or providing really more value to the customers. And for that, most of the time you will need to have the same professionals in the firms with different skills. That's for sure. I mean, you need to start training, and you need to start having different kind of skills in the firm to really be able to do that.
Yeah. No, which kind of brings, well, we should do a whole webinar on training. But of course, I mean, just briefly, I mean, one of the things that particularly in the US that's happening right now, and I've spoken to a lot of people about this, is using AI simulators to train the junior lawyers. Because one of the most amazing things about the commercial law firm model is that you get the clients to train your baby lawyers, even if they're not particularly good. I mean, over several years, they become decent lawyers, and the clients have paid for it. Which is a wonderful business model. The problem is, of course, is a lot of that basic work is going to get crushed by AI. It's going to get done much, much, much more quickly. And then the question everyone's asking is, well, what do you train these junior lawyers on? Because we don't want them just sitting around, and they're way too young and inexperienced to be going into a client meeting. In no way, not going to let them do that. They just don't have the wisdom, the experience.
Yeah.
So how do you give someone experience? So one answer is using AI simulators to do this, but we'll come back to that another time. But moving forwards, I mean, there's so much happening. I mean, we're like I said, we're just touching just a very few subjects here. I mean, there is just so much happening. For example, you've got Claude for legal, OpenAI is now going into legal, Microsoft has built a legal agents. Your company and many others are just knocking out products like crazy. The models are improving. I can understand some people who haven't really committed yet. Maybe they've just dabbled a little bit on their laptop, but they haven't really committed as a firm or as an in-house team. They might be looking at this and just be like, you know what, I'm going to leave it a couple of years. I have my own answer to that. What do you think? Do you think you should just sit and wait for a bit, or do you think that really you need to get on with this?
No. I think that you really need to get over it. But also, what's for sure for me is that as the speed that we are moving, it's almost it's very difficult, almost impossible to predict what's going to happen in 2 years, I guess, or even in 1 year, or not even in 6 months. I would say, because everything is it's moving so fast that also one of the things that I think that has changed completely the legal profession, let's say, is that okay, before AI, I mean, it was quite clear that okay, there are some legal tech, legal publishers, providers. Okay, they are providing me those tools and so on. That's cool. But now with AI, okay, we start having some new legal tech companies that it's going to be quite easy for them to start creating new products. Not only legal tech companies, also just pure tech companies, as you mentioned before, Cloud, for example, or even Microsoft or OpenAI, that they are working on some legal specific tools. So, and finally, something that it's I think is going also to change a lot the scope. It's especially for big corporates, for big firms. What, for example, Kirkland and Ellis announced recently that they invest 500 millions, and the goal is at the end, okay, we will keep at the moment our current AI supplier, but in the future, okay, we want to have our own AI because we don't want to use the same tools as our competitors are using. So we have moved from a scenario 6 years ago in which, okay, there were a very concrete legal providers, legal tech providers, and now the scope has completely changed. Okay, for sure, there are still those legal publishers as Lefebvre, as Thomson Reuters, but also those new unicorns, those new legal tech companies. We have also those pure tech companies, and at the same time now we have even the the own professional that is developing and creating his own
Yeah,
tools.
the vibe coders. Exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the thing. I mean, the what started off as just like ChatGPT and oh wow, I can use it to
yeah,
summarize a document has just gone like,
yeah,
20 different times.
absolutely. So if you wait until something it's more clear, okay, I
Yeah.
think that's never gonna happen. So
Yeah.
just
No,
start.
it's changing. It's changing. I mean, there's literally, I mean, when I started Artificial Lawyer 10 years ago, there was probably a major announcement, probably, every 3 or 4 months, right? Like Kira or Luminance, someone like that would do
Yeah.
something. Very, 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 very few. It was just mostly just noise, and then there would be like a big thing. And I'm not kidding. Like now, I'd say there's a systemically market-changing event every
Yeah,
week, every single
absolutely.
week. I mean, if you went on holiday, if you did the traditional European holiday and you just went away all summer, right? If you did
Yeah,
that, you would come back and you would feel like you'd landed on another planet because you'd just be like, "What? So what? Google's doing legal work now, and you know."
yeah.
This happened and that happens, you'd just be like, wow. And we got Zakia who asks one of the big questions, which is, how do you basically handle time? Law firms sell time. It's very fancy time, expert time, but it's time, right? You're selling time, and the buyers, crazily enough, are buying it. But that makes sense. I was talking to Harvey. I was talking to the co-founder of Harvey about a month ago, and we were talking about the billable hour. And Gabe, who's one of the co-founders, he basically said, "Look, you can't blame law firms the billing by the hour. If the way that you make work, you make the product, right, is manually by humans doing that work, sitting there thinking, writing, and so forth, and literally doing every aspect. They're doing the redlining by hand, they're doing the research by hand, they're making
Mhm.
amendments and edits, and they're sending it back, and so forth, and collating information. They're doing the entire thing by hand. If that is the reality, it's totally understandable that you charge by time because it's a fairly convenient way of doing it. So like, hey Bob, how much effort did you put into that piece of work? Because I need to bill the client. Well, he can just, or she can just say, well, I spent 25 hours.
Mhm.
And the buyer who used to work in a law firm, because most in-house lawyers started in law firms, they understand the concept, they understand the idea, and they're like, okay, it's not brilliant, it's not the perfect system. It's like democracy. Is it the best system in the world? Well, we get lots of problems, but it's certainly better than all the alternatives, right? Because
Mhm.
let's not get into that. But anyway, the key point is this: in a world of physical and manual mental labor, it's the best system. But that has changed. Now, part of that labor is being automated. So we have a problem. How are we going to do it? So you've got two ways primarily. You have a hybrid system. You effectively stop charging for the work that the AI does. But the rest of it, you stay on the billable hour and perhaps you increase those billable hours. So where a junior associate might have been charging 200 euros an hour, they now charge 300 because that effectively is going to compensate for the drop in the amount of work they do per matter. Another alternative is to just swallow the cost, keep your rates on the hourly basis. You will
Mhm.
you will bill in total fewer hours per matter. But if you can generate more clients, more work, the same amount of associates will generate more total revenue for the same cost base. It's effectively like having a more efficient engine. So you actually make more money by using AI, and you can keep the system without changing it. Or third option is you get rid of the hour and you start charging on a fixed fee. And if you charge on a fixed fee, then the faster you get through that work, the better. If you charge 100,000 for an M&A deal, the faster you get through that due diligence, the more money you keep, the more profit you make. So Zakir, I don't know if that helps, but those are really your three main ways of doing it. People have talked about subscriptions, but very, very few clients want to have a law firm on a subscription. I know there are retainers, but even retainers generally expand into much more complex relationships.
Mhm.
Actually, Manu, what do you think? I mean, you're based in France. I mean, you know, it's primarily billable hours in France, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that yeah, in France, Italy, or Spain, for example, it depends mainly also on the size of the firm. Yeah, if we move to to big firms, especially those international firms, yeah, it's hourly based mainly what they are let's say charging.
So
But
what am I saying about that? I mean, I was talking to a friend, Olivier Chadoteau, who's going to be a speaker at Legal Innovators in Paris on the 24th and 25th, who runs a consultancy. And I was asking him about his use of AI, and he said it's amazing. We've doubled the amount of work we can do. I mean,
yeah,
he was like, it's the best thing that ever happened to us as a business because we are literally doing twice as much work. So it's great, and and they have the same number of people.
yeah, exactly. That's what where I was referring at the beginning that AI is not
Mm.
gonna replace. It doesn't really need to replace anyone in the film or in the
No.
consultant. I mean, at the end, you are gonna be able to produce more work. I mean, and that means having more happy customers, let's say, more satisfied customers, but also at the same time, it gives you the possibility to have new clients and new customers because okay, I can double number. I mean, as you said, I can double number of clients. So that's gonna be also an opportunity. So
And expand what you do.
yeah,
I mean, I
providing
would,
new services or new kind of, oh, I'm not gonna just providing
yeah.
this specific as I was until now. Now I can start thinking about providing. So for me, that's also more a kind of also of mentality of the managers of the firm and so on. I mean, those one that has more a kind of innovator minds and really, I mean, they are I think that for them it's really a great opportunity, and they are doing that. Even some of them, oh, I just created until now I didn't have a website, and now I have created my website in just a weekend, even having fun. So those small things that before that, oh, I can.
Mm.
Oh, they are doing that, but that yeah, for me it's more related to the personality of the manager rather than to replacing or not, or deciding to
Yeah.
replace people or not.
And the clients, I mean, the clients don't care as long as they get their answers. But but
Absolutely.
equally, the clients don't want you to sack anybody. They just want the work back. They want you to solve their problems.
Yeah,
That's basically
absolutely.
it. That's at the end of the day, that's what it will always be, right?
Yeah, and they want and they wanted you to be 24 hours, 7 days a week available. So even oh, I
Mm.
was thinking about that. I'm gonna send you a message, and I want immediate answer. That's also what customers
Well,
really
I mean,
really
the thing
want.
is with AI, you can do that now. I mean,
Yeah, exactly,
you can
exactly.
write back to the client, say, look, this is the AI answer. I want you to understand this is the AI answer. If you want me and my team to look at it at the weekend, it's going to take some time. It's going to cost you, but I will give you the AI answer for free. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there are, yeah, I think that professionals need to start to think also about new professional opportunities, new ways of doing business. So that's
Mm.
also a great opportunity. I mean, even recently, I wrote an article talking about okay, we can provide you services based on AI, or we can provide you services in a traditional way, and okay, and we will provide you a different price and different cost if you want as the different kind of service. So yeah,
And let's face it, I mean, I remember talking to the managing partner of a very, very big deal focused firm. And this was like 10 years ago. I was talking to him about pricing strategies, and he said, "Look, we do huge private equity deals.
yeah. Mhm.
Even with sophisticated private equity investment funds, we say we have three pricing tiers, and you pick which one you want." So even is the idea of variable pricing, totally. But let's do some more questions. So got Rob Robinson. He says, over the next 3 to 5 years, will most legal AI offerings be subsumed? Fair question, because you've got Claude for legal and you've got OpenAI. At present, this is my personal take, and I have actually interviewed Mark Pike, who is leading Claude for legal at Anthropic. The general view that I get is what they're providing are, to some degree, quite granular tools, but they're fairly vanilla tools in the sense that they're, for example, like Claude for Legal has about 90 agents, and that will grow and grow. So they're very granular, which is great, but they're quite vanilla, and they're expecting you to then customize those on top. That's cool for a lot of people, but a lot of other lawyers are just like, I do not want to mess around customizing these tools. I just want the finished product. I want absolute reassurance. I want to have support services. So if I have a problem, I want to be able to ring up someone at Harvey, Legora, Lefebvre, wherever, and say, this doesn't work. I need to know why. Can you fix it? They want the reassurance that whoever built this particular workflow, they have someone sitting in an office managing it. Whereas if you, as a lawyer, if you take on that responsibility, so, let's say you're a large law firm in France, or Gide, or Jante, whoever brings in all those workflows through Claude or OpenAI, they take responsibility for it. They have to take responsibility for keeping it updated. They have to take responsibility for data security and all the other issues related to it, aside from the cost issues. So I think there's always going to be a place for third-party vendors, because the third-party vendors are not sitting still. They're constantly innovating. Look at Legora, for example. They've done 4 M&A deals in the last 6 months, and I understand there are several more big deals coming. They're constantly broadening out what they're offering. You sitting inside your law firm as the CTO or the head of innovation, or maybe you're just a partner who likes innovation, and you start tinkering around with these general models, and you do build some quite useful things for yourself. It's really on a different scale. I think it's really on a different scale. The game changer for me would be if OpenAI, with its new OpenAI for legal, if they go very heavily into building very, very sophisticated products. That's possible, which would then push Dario at Anthropic to also do the same. And then maybe even Microsoft really improves the things that it's making. Like apparently the legal agent isn't particularly great. But so if we get like a kind of arms race between the big tech companies, it's going to be tough. But even then, people like Harvey, Legora, Lefebvre, LexisNexis, Thomson Reuters, Clear, anyone who wants to stay in business will just double down and work even harder to produce exactly what it is the clients want. So Rob, to answer your question, the short answer is no. They're going to stay in the running. But you could argue, it's like capitalism and a free market economy, right? It drives competition. Competition drives improvements. You can't sit on your hands.
Yeah, I think that was the point that I was going to remark as well, where the last phrase that you said. I mean, I'm really excited about competition doing great things. I mean, so I'm really excited about having a Claude Legal or the new OpenAI. I mean, because that makes that everyone really needs to accelerate, to think about new ideas, to start improving ourselves. So, and I think that having a strong competition, for me, it's something really, really great. Also, because I mean, especially with legal tech providers, with Anthropic or OpenAI, it's provide also a lot of let's say kind of business opportunities and new scope, completely different. So for me personally, it's really exciting moving into a less traditional legal publisher environment and having this new opportunity. It's really really attractive.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think in the long run, it's all good. Will there
Yeah.
be some painful changes for some people? Yeah, totally. Will it affect the business model? Yeah. Will it change relationships? Yeah. But in the long run, and also anyway, what's the alternative? We become, like some kind of strange cult that lives in the
Uh,
1980s. We paint the windows, we lock the doors, and we're like, we're going to live in 1980. It's never going to change. It's just we can't do it. So, quick question from
yeah.
Sim. It's a two-part question. One is, what happens if you have a power cut? Fair enough. I have absolutely no idea. You need to speak to EDF, and the French Ministry of Energy about that. Also, what about the loss of critical thinking? Well, yeah, cognitive offloading, cognitive decline, that is a real issue. But my take, I'll get your take in a minute, Manny. I mean, my take is that you don't become wise and develop critical thinking by doing incredibly tedious work that freezes the brain. What we need to do is to try and get junior lawyers and at law school up up the curve faster.
Yeah.
So, to some degree, I'd say that we are helping here, but it is true there is a risk that once you get up that curve, that you then become lazy. And you see this in marketing,
Yeah.
and PR, and you see like the most terrible stuff being pumped out, and you're just like, you haven't actually read that through, have you? You've just taken it from ChatGPT. You haven't really thought about it. And I bet you before ChatGPT, you would have done a much better job. So there is the risk of losing your cognitive abilities, losing your judgment. And I think this is why it comes back to the point about supervision, which we made earlier, is that the partners have to be wise to this and be like a sort of steadying influence. They have to encourage the use of AI, but also manage the development of critical thinking. And this goes for any business, right? I mean, let's say you're on an airline, right, and you're trying
Mhm.
to buy a ticket, and they've handed the whole thing over to an AI chatbot. And the AI chatbot is completely nuts, and it just doesn't get what you're saying. It would have been so much easier to speak to a human being, right? I mean, you've got to get the balance right. But Manu, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that yeah, for me, there are two points there. First of all, I mean, especially juniors. I mean, one of the first, let's say, improvements that we need to do, that it's at the school, let's say, at the university, at the college. That's what they really learn, how to reason, how to think, how to. So that's really the first point. And then second, it's more related to, as you said, Richard, it's more related for me to the managers and to the culture of the firm. I mean, you really need to encourage your juniors to think in a different way, not just okay, I will go to the office, ask the AI tool, copy paste. No, hey, you need to think about it. And it's like I always try to put the same example. Now, I mean, at the school, I mean, young people, I mean, they are doing all the work, all the homework in with ChatGPT and so on.
Mm,
But then, where I have been reading some articles also related to, yeah, to schools teaching and so on, is that some teachers, let's say, what they are doing, it's when they have the homework from the student. Okay, he starts challenging the student. So okay, I don't care if you have done it with AI or it's by your own. Now I will challenge you, and now you can easily detect if the student
yeah.
understood something or not. So it
Well, and
sounds
totally. So, and you see that on LinkedIn. You see
yeah,
people's posts, and you know that they don't have a clue what they're talking about, but
exactly.
they've run it through ChatGPT and they've made some diagram or whatever, and you're just like, you don't really actually understand that, do you? You've just pumped it out. And that, I find that very frustrating, and I'm sure lawyers do as well. When people suggest, "Oh yeah, I can just replace a lawyer with ChatGPT," it must be very, very annoying because you've spent
Yeah.
years studying, all of these things. I've got real sympathy for that. The same way that journalists, anyone with a really developed skill set, is then told, oh yeah, but you're irrelevant. I think
Yeah.
that's some aspects are irrelevant and some things do get improved. So like as a journalist, I can use AI to do quick research, but I would never use AI to write an article. I don't. Artificial lawyer as a policy does not write any articles with AI, and no element of AI goes into it other than basic research. So I don't
Mhm.
use AI to phrase or structure in any way. And I certainly don't use it for my own ideas. Um, and I think the same is for law. And I think it's getting that balance right. But the problem is, I think certainly with kids and young lawyers, is they haven't built boundaries yet. They're given this incredibly powerful tool. It's a bit like cheating at university, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like there are people,
Yeah.
I mean, I was like horrified when I found out you could even do that. That you're given all these books to read, and then there were people who would just like be, down the gym all
Yeah.
week, and they would pay someone 50 quid to write their essay for them, and you just be like,
Yeah.
but why have you come to university? What's the point?
Yeah.
You're just literally just going to just like cheat your whole way through it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think in the law that's extremely dangerous because let's say, okay, so you cheat a bit as an associate, you work your way up to a more senior role. The partner says, "Oh, I'm going on holiday." You can manage this very important job because you're obviously very good at it. And now you, who doesn't have a clue what you're doing,
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. That's at the end the situation, and at the end the difference is okay. It's being a professional or being just I mean
yeah.
non
I mean,
we are professional, so it's part of the personality of a person.
I think being a lawyer is one of those jobs that you can't fake. You can
Yeah.
fake it, but if you fake it, you're going to get in real trouble, right?
Yeah.
It's like being a surgeon. You can pretend. I mean, and every year there's a story about a
Yeah.
guy or a girl who pretends to be a doctor, and they actually manage it
Yeah.
until they, do something wrong. All right, let's do
Yeah.
another question. Yeah, actually, talking of AI generated stuff. Yeah, there was a mention in the marketing material for this that we were going to provide a 24-month roadmap. I think that was an AI hallucination because, of course, it is completely impossible to provide a 24-month roadmap because every law firm, every in-house legal team is completely different, and your needs will be completely different. Where you currently are will be completely different in the size of the firm and where you want to get to. So I think it goes back, but let's bring it back to first principles. I mean, we've
Okay.
about to run out of time. So just as a key takeaway, what are just, because we've got 4 minutes, what are just some 2 or 3 key takeaways if you're new to this?
Okay, so for me, the first key takeaway is that okay, if you are not if you are not using any AI tool, just do it. So don't wait even until next week. Just to start using AI as soon as possible, because as soon as possible as you will start using AI, you will be able to identify which are your main use cases, and you will realize what it works for you and what it doesn't, because as you said, Richard, okay, not every firm and not everything will work for everyone. So today one of the advantages is that it's quite easy to start testing and to start making some proof of concepts with a small investment, let's say, even just with having even a 1 month license from any supplier. You can even start discovering what AI can produce to you. So for me, that will be the first intake. And related to that, don't be afraid of AI. AI is not gonna replace anyone if you don't want to. I mean, yeah, if you just want to reduce your business, if you just want to, okay, yeah, you can justify that with AI, but that's not really the aim of AI. The aim of AI, it's completely the opposite, I think. And for me, the third insight could be, yeah, we have said about, yeah, start using it. Don't be afraid of AI. And related to those two is experiment as much as possible. So even try to think about new business that you can provide with AI, because it's there are so many possibilities that I'm sure that every firm can discover new business thanks to AI.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's a huge opportunity, and I know telling a bunch of millionaires that they can become richer doesn't necessarily always resonate
Hmm.
because, you're like, well, I work incredibly hard, I'm very prestigious, I make loads of money. I can't see how you can help me. In fact, it just sounds like you're going to make me less money. But if you say, well, actually, if you think about it, you can become more profitable, more productive. You can keep the same cost base to some degree and actually take on more clients, do more work, do more types of work, have a better relationship with your clients
Hmm.
because you're not just churning dull work. Then actually you can improve your quality of life, grow your business, and just very simply make more money, right? Because at the end of the day, that's that's what that's what
Yeah,
we do.
exactly.
Otherwise, I mean, like, okay, a lot of people would be lawyers even if they didn't make any money because they love the law. But let's face it, if you're in commercial law, there's probably a reason for it, right? As well as, and also commercial law is fascinating. So anyway, there's tons to talk about, but I think hopefully you've taken away from this, dear audience, that both I and Manu are very, very optimistic about AI, very positive. It's not going to be easy, but overall, this is a very, very positive change, and I hope you've had some benefit from this. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Manu. Thank
Thanks
you,
a lot.
the audience.
Thank you. Bye.